Well, Notre Dame fans, this Fighting Irish football season is not over just yet. The Fighting Irish beat the Georgia Bulldogs here at the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans amid some crazy circumstances that me and Jack Sobel to my right, that's Kyle Kelly to my left, me and Jack talked about on New Year's Day. Not going to talk too much about that because we already did, and also because there was a football game played here today, boys, and it was a heck of a football game for Notre Dame. Winners 23-10 over number 2 seed Georgia. Number 7 seed Notre Dame goes to the Orange Bowl to play, was it number 6 seed Penn State? Is that right? Right now, that's inconsequential, though. We'll talk about that as the days get closer to that game, I believe, on January 10th. But right now, this is all about Notre Dame and Georgia. And, guys, I want to get quick thoughts from both of you, because I thought no matter what the total yards say, there's some stats where you're going to say, how did Georgia not factor into this ball game more? I think Notre Dame was a better team in this game. I'll start with you, Kyle. Did you feel that way sitting in the press box?
I wasn't sure if I felt that way going into the game just because of this Georgia team's makeup as a program, their pedigree. They've won so many championships under Kirby Smart, SEC championships, national championships. But tonight, coming out of this game, Marcus Freeman was the guy that outcoached Kirby Smart. I thought his performance was outstanding. One of the biggest plays of the game, Jack, I hope they asked about this in the press conference, was the fourth down call way backed up in Notre Dame's territory. They sent the offense out there at the last minute. I think that was one of the key moments in this game where it took maybe on the betting apps where Notre Dame was maybe favored a little bit more after they were able to keep this game going, and just the resiliency of this team. You know, we saw Marcus Freeman on the field afterward singing the alma mater. I saw him kind of pop off the way he did against Texas A&M, and you know, I posted on social media, I didn't think he had the energy after that game to do that because he coached from whistle to whistle. And I'm going to throw this over to Jack because I think Jack's got to talk about the middle 8 minutes of this, you know, and then the 4 minutes, the end of the first, 4 minutes, start of the second, just how outstanding Freeman and the entire coaching staff was in that category.
And the team, too. I mean, Notre Dame absolutely won that game in those middle 8. The middle 8, what Marcus Freeman talks about all the time.
Well, forget 8. How about middle 1? Like it was the last 43 seconds of the first half, and the first however many seconds it took Jaden Harrison to return a kickoff for a touchdown in the second half. Like it was the middle 1. It was R.J. Oben made the play of this game. Notre Dame was up 6-3. Looks like they're going in the half 6-3, but it's a precarious 6-3, right? Like I'd say Georgia, controlled the play for most of that first half, even though the scoreboard didn't quite reflect it. You could tell that Georgia's athletes on defense were kind of overwhelming Notre Dame's offense. They got the field goal drive that was good for them. They got another field goal drive. Notre Dame had settled down, but you felt like you needed something special to happen for Notre Dame to win this game. And then all of a sudden, R.J. Oben, the Duke transfer, who came into this game without so much as a quarterback hit this season. Oben had not touched a quarterback all season. He was not playing on passing downs. He screams around the edge in a way you saw him do at Duke. That's why they acquired him. They hadn't done it at Notre Dame, and he ferociously strips out Gunnar Stockton. Junior Tuihalamaka recovers. He also had the game of his life, by the way. And then Notre Dame scores in the next play with the Riley Leonard touchdown on a play action to Bo Collins. And then, of course, Jaden Harrison at the start of the second half takes a kickoff back for a touchdown. We've been waiting to see that from Jaden Harrison all season. Yeah. That's why Notre Dame acquired him for games like this. I mean, Notre Dame might not have gotten exactly what they wanted in R.J. Oben when they acquired him, but he was worth every penny because he made the game. He changed the game, and he was that play was the biggest reason Notre Dame won this game.
Absolutely, and you talk about everything that happened in that little sequence. I think a reporter was asking Jaden Harrison. I was standing. Really unique post game, by the way. We send Jack over to talk to Marcus Freeman, Riley Leonard, and Xavier Watts, I believe it was. We send Kyle into the locker room to talk to whoever he wants. It's literally an open locker room. I'm kind of in the in-between man in the breakout room, as they called it, and that's where I was speaking to Jaden Harrison. And he came across as a guy that said, look, man, that could have happened in any game. I felt like I'm still that guy, the All-American that he was at Marshall. He's a heck of a kick returner, and you saw it on that play. It was the patience that he had is what you called it in the press box. Upon watching it a second time, I was like, oh, my gosh, yeah. Because I was sitting there thinking, how did he get to the sideline? And I asked him, I said, how did you get to the sideline? He said, I just doing my thing. That's why Jaden Harrison is on this football team. What R.J. Oben did is why Notre Dame brought him onto this football team. Bo Collins catching a touchdown. Say what you want about him leading the team in drops and this and that. He caught that touchdown pass. Notre Dame desperately needed. They needed to cash in that play, the defensive play that Junior Tuihalamaka falls on the football after R.J. Oben knocks it loose with the touchdown. They do that. Just every little thing. And I talked about this on the pregame radio show with Darren Pritchett and Eric Hansen was if Notre Dame's going to win this game, you got to look back at the little small things within it that end up being really big things at the end. Because there's so many things and times in a football game where you say, that might determine the outcome. But then when you look back on it, you're talking about that fourth down call. That's one of those things. Kyle, when you're watching this game, when did you kind of feel like, oh, yep, that went Notre Dame's way, that, they're probably going to win this football game?
Well, I think it was at various points. I just keep coming back to the middle eight, as we call it, as Jack better phrased as the middle one, because that's really what really was. That's where I think this game went, that Notre Dame's keeping up with Georgia to now that they had separated themselves, and that gave them the separation in this game, where I think we all started thinking that Notre Dame could advance to the next round. I started looking at flights down to Miami, and they, I think that was probably my biggest takeaway was the way they played there. And the other big point in this game, kind of in a similar vein, was the final drive of the game on offense.
Absolutely.
I think they started out right around that 9-minute mark. They sucked it all the way down to the 2-minute. Unfortunately, we were all in the elevator trying to get down to the field, so we didn't get to see a lot of it. But, we talked to Mike Denbrock after the game, the offensive coordinator. He talked about the resilient effort of this entire team, the resilient effort of Rocco Spindler, who was playing on, not close to full strength. Not many guys are, but just the makeup of this whole team from the start of fall camp to now to continue to prevail in the toughest moments, and that's why they're just one of 4 teams remaining in college football right now.
I love that you say that, Jack. I want to talk big picture. Notre Dame is one of 4 teams left, and I think the Indiana win, awesome, fine, dandy. It was a celebration of South Bend. It was a celebration of the 12-team playoff, this, that, Notre Dame. Fans, team, everything was outstanding in that game. But this is the Sugar Bowl. This is Georgia. This is a team that has won 2 of the last 3 national championships. Notre Dame needed to win this game to prove to everybody that it can win 2 more and win a national championship. And, Jack, I don't think Kyle, me, or you are sitting here thinking that Notre Dame can't win a national championship. It is all systems go. They have all the pieces. The coaching, Marcus Freeman's a different guy than he was even at NIU. He's a way different guy than he was Marshall Stanford that first year. Coaching's excellent. The coordinators, you mentioned Denbrock. Obviously, you have to mention Al Golden. Marty Piaggi is in on that. And then the players. It's all there, and we saw that on this field in the Sugar Bowl today.
Yeah, I'm done saying the next injury is the one that's going to kill him, because they just keep happening. Riley Mills goes down last week. You lose Jeremiah Love today, and by the way, no further update on that.
I kind of do have one, actually.
Update?
We were
Okay.
in the locker room, and Jeremiah Love was in there, and I asked, basically it was a 15-second encounter. You good? He said, yeah, I tweaked the same thing that I did against USC. So I said, does that mean you have a week, you're going to be good to play Penn State in Miami? And he kind of gave me a little nod, like he's obviously hoping. He's not a doctor. He doesn't know, but there is a belief in a sense within himself that he might be able to play.
Yeah, and they lose Howard Cross. He limped off the field too. Like they just keep bouncing back from these. And big picture, the biggest reason I think Notre Dame is here is the way Marcus Freeman has instilled an aggressive mindset into this team, and he's done it not just with words but with actions. And what Kyle said, the 4th down play call, both in
that drive,
too. And that drive both in the middle of the field and all the way back in their own territory. With it was a make him jump play. Notre Dame would not have snapped that ball if Georgia did not jump, but they did. So Leonard fires a free play deep shot. That kind of thing. That's how the players buy into it. That's the players going, you believe in us, we're going to fight for you. And you do it with actions. That's what so many people don't understand about the going forward on 4th down. Like, yeah, he does it a lot every now and then. Every now and then it doesn't work like it did in this game. The 4th and 1, Leonard short, but the defense comes back out there, they get a stop. And that even when it doesn't work, that is the biggest reason why Notre Dame is here. The other thing that happened on that last drive, Riley Leonard, we talked about a lot of pros and cons with Riley Leonard's tape when he came over from Duke. The one unequivocal pro besides the running ability, was he's that's my quarterback energy. Like Riley Leonard is going to put his body on the line to win football games. He joked about it again after the game. He was like, yeah, they keep telling me not to do it, but I did it and it worked. So, and Freeman's like, yeah, you're right. And he did that, his Superman dive over the first down line, and that is the moment. I think you're probably 90% sure Notre Dame is going to win after the fourth down, make him jump play. The moment you were 100% sure was when Riley Leonard dove over that line. That was it. No coming back from that if you're Georgia, both because of game flow and because they were just cooked. You saw their sideline, and those two guys put Notre Dame in the national semifinal.
And I get it. Georgia has 3 losses now this season. I believe they hadn't lost 2 games in any season since 2020. This is not the same Georgia, but it still is Georgia.
Yeah.
It's Kirby Smart. Marcus Freeman, we're standing on the Notre Dame sideline right now, outcoached the guy on the other sideline. The guy on the other sideline was Kirby Smart. With Nick Saban having retired, that's the best head coach in college football. He's got 2 national championships. He's Nick Saban protege. That's the guy. Marcus Freeman is turning into a guy right before our very eyes. The emotion, you talked about it, Kyle. How could he be emotional after this game, or at least show it outwardly with everything that he poured into that 60 minutes, which is really, as you guys that watch college football know, 3 or 4 hours. It's a long deal, and he is just the same guy from start to finish in every one of these games since he's gotten better since that NIU loss and some of those other losses I mentioned. That's growth. The guy's not even 40 years old yet, and you're starting to see it happen. So I guess we'll wrap up with a couple quick comments from both of you guys. We haven't really scouted Penn State, but let's just talk Orange Bowl for a quick minute here, because we watched Penn State play the other day. Notre Dame, do you like Notre Dame's chances going into that game? It's kind of ironic because this was the whole argument ever since the college football playoff rankings started coming out, was why is Penn State ranked ahead of Notre Dame, especially after they lost to Ohio State, obviously. Now you get to settle it and prove it, and we're going to find out in Miami.
These are 2 very common teams that have been really, really darn good in college football. I would argue Notre Dame's kind of hovered and flirted with that great category. I'm talking in the last decade, 15 years of making it to a national championship, making it to a college football playoff. Penn State's sort of the same way. They haven't played in a national championship, but, they're always competing for Big Ten championships. They've never won the big games. They're starting to win the big games this season. I mean, they did face Boise State, but, they are finding ways to win, just like this Notre Dame team. So this is the matchup that every Notre Dame fan wanted, because I think there's a lot of animosity between these 2 fan bases of, who's better and that sort of thing. But I think if you're Notre Dame, out of the 4 teams that are still playing in this playoff, I think Penn State's probably the one that you want to see in the next round.
Yeah, I would say Ohio State and Texas are definitely more talented than Penn State and have some more things going in that regard. And so I guess you probably agree. Like, Notre Dame's got a really good shot to make it to the national championship game.
Yeah, I think Penn State's got 2 big strengths. Number one is the run game. That's the part I'm not as concerned about for Notre Dame, just kind of looking ahead to the matchups. I think Notre Dame did a tremendous job against the run. We have undersold this defense's athleticism all year. Like you're all the conversations is about Georgia's athleticism, and they are freakishly athletic.
They were flying to the football from the start.
That was the big reason this game looked like it was heavy Georgia early, even though the score didn't necessarily indicate it. But Notre Dame's defense is freakishly athletic at all 3 levels, and that is a big reason why they held down the Georgia run game. So with Katron Allen, Nick Singleton, that Penn State run game, I'm not as concerned about that. What I am concerned about is Penn State's other big strength, which is their pass rush. I'd say if you could pick anyone else in college football to put on Notre Dame, number 1's probably Jeremiah Smith. Number 2, I think, is Abdul Carter, the Penn State edge rusher. Yeah. He is a problem, just like the Georgia front was a problem for Notre Dame all night. They threw a ton of blitzes. This is the big thing to talk about. Like, they threw a ton of blitzes at Riley Leonard that Notre Dame was not very equipped to handle. It felt like Leonard wasn't so used to guys closing in on him as fast as Georgia was tonight, which is an adjustment he's going to have to make against a guy in Abdul Carter who will just fire away and be at the quarterback in just a fraction of a second. He is insane. So those are the kind of the couple things that I'm looking at. But again, like, I think Notre Dame's a better team than Penn State. We've been saying it a long time since they were rankings debate every week, and I'm saying it right now. Notre Dame's going to be my pick to make the national championship next week.
I think I'm going to go that same direction, and Kyle probably will too. We've got plenty of time to talk about that here on this YouTube channel, so definitely like this video, subscribe to this channel, and also definitely go to blueandgold.com because we're boots on the scene here at Blue and Gold, and we're going to have so many stories coming out of Notre Dame's victory over Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. But the last thing I want to say is, and I wrote this at blueandgold.com the morning of the game, this was just a game. Right down the road, something far more important and very tragic occurred. And you could tell coming into this game, and even talking to some of the guys after the game, they kind of remembered, oh, yeah, that happened. That was a thing. And it's just an absolutely awful, horrific thing that should never happen. So don't lose sight of that, even in this magical run that Notre Dame is on, because we're all human beings at the end of the day, and too many of them lost their lives on Bourbon Street. But again, we will be covering Notre Dame all the way through into the Orange Bowl, and we hope to see you guys on this YouTube channel with us.